This video is sponsored by Fade Grips. If you're looking for gaming accessories or apparel, look no further than Fade Grips, and make sure you use my code, that's JaeySi, for a discount at the checkout. Let's get it.
Yeah, bitch, call me Steve. Oh, I'm a wild boy, fuck ain't I need. Oh, yeah, bitch, call me Steve. Oh, I'll be a king when you can be a god.
What's good, YouTube? It is JaeySi, and I am here today to bring you some official Division 2 gameplay. Now, this is in the Dark Zone, ladies and gentlemen, and of course this is not my gameplay, but this is official gameplay. This is the very first you will look at the Dark Zone, and I'm not even certain which Dark Zone this is in, because whether you know or not, I'm gonna break down some things for you so you can learn about the Division 2. So there's 3 different Dark Zones this time around to start out with, and we may get another one with DLC. We're not sure yet. That has not been announced, but they definitely did say that we have new areas of the map and new game modes to look forward to during DLCs. Now, what I want to talk to you guys about is the Dark Zone, the information that I have gotten so far. So with there being 3 different Dark Zones, one is going to be considered occupied, and there are 2 others that are going to be not occupied or non-occupied, which essentially means that the Dark Zones that are not considered occupied are normalized. Now, normalized means a couple of things. It means that your glass cannon builds, your ridiculously tanky builds, they're not going to have such a high tanky percentage. They're not gonna, you know what I'm saying, your tank builds are not going to be able to tank as much as they would in a occupied zone, or an occupied Dark Zone rather. And I'm going to get into why they did it this way. So essentially, also with your glass cannon builds, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to be as strong as it's still going to be strong, but it's not going to be as strong as it would be in an occupied zone. So what they did in these non-occupied Dark Zones is essentially they made it more fair for people that they're just coming into the game and they still want to go to the Dark Zone, and they still want to essentially be included in PvP, but they don't want to get melted. So essentially the way that it's going to work is everybody's going to have a fair chance to be able to fight one another. Now, don't trip if you don't like that idea, because there's always going to be one Dark Zone that is considered occupied, and when you go into this occupied Dark Zone, that means that it's your raw build. So you can have your glass cannon build, you can have your tank build in the occupied Dark Zone. Now there's some positivity to the way that they did things. See, there's 3 Dark Zones, so you have your choice. And I believe it's on a weekly location schedule, so it's not always going to be one Dark Zone that is going to be occupied. It's going to change every week, I believe, between the 3. So you're always going to be able to, you know, say, keep it fresh. There's always going to be new stuff. Now, the difference between an occupied Dark Zone and a non-occupied Dark Zone, or a Dark Zone that is not occupied, considered occupied, you feel me? It's not going to be a huge difference, but that is the occupied Dark Zone is where you're going to be able to get your best loot at, because it is the highest risk reward factor. You feel me? So going into the occupied zones is definitely more considered an end game idea once you progress through the 30 world tiers and, you know, the 50 Dark Zone tiers or levels. that's what they are kind of hoping that people hold out for. Of course, people like myself, people that are hardcore players, I don't know about you guys, but that's one of the first places I want to go to. That's the PvP, man. I'm super excited about the PvP. So, as you guys can see here, this gameplay is in one of the dark zones. Now, between the 3 dark zones, there's the reason why they did 3 different dark zones. They are located in 3 different areas of the map. And being that they are located in 3 different areas of the map, each dark zone has its own structures, its own infrastructure. You feel me? It's the level is, or the dark zone is created differently. One of them is for like sniping and longer range. Have very open roadways, very open buildings, not a lot of cover, you feel me? So it's going to be very treacherous to be caught out in the open unless you know what you're doing. The other one is the exact opposite. It's very close quarters, very narrow, you know what I'm saying, cars all over the road, very narrow hallways, very close quarter combat, good for SMGs and shotguns. And then the third one is right in the middle between the 2, good for ARs and, you know, longer range SMGs and stuff like that. Now, as you guys can see here by the gameplay, the loot still needs to be extracted. However, as you progress through the dark zone, there are dark zone levels, and it has not been leaked yet exactly what level, but I know for sure as you go through the dark zone levels, you unlock certain things, such as the ability to have your extraction, the time from when your helicopter gets to the extraction from when you call it, takes less time once you hit a certain level. So things of that nature are definitely unlockable. And here you guys can see that there is manhunt back, of course, but there are new ways to go through manhunt. So I wanted to also touch in this video on the different ways to go rogue, because just because you go rogue in the Division 2 does not mean that you are essentially hunted by the whole map like you would be if you were considered manhunt. So this time around, if you guys recall, there are treasure chests scattered throughout the entire map, and you don't necessarily need a key this time. You can use a key, but you don't have to. If you choose to pick the lock, it will take you to what they call the first level of rogue, which means that not everybody can see you on the map, but those that are near you that aren't considered allies, they can still see that you pick the lock, so that they can still see that you have loot on you. And essentially what it'll do is it'll give you a gray skull. Now, if they choose to attack you and say you killed them, once you kill them, you would be considered disavowed, and it will give you the red skull like you can see in this gameplay. And then, of course, once you get a certain amount of kills, it would still be considered manhunt, and you get your yellow skull. Yeah, I mean, you know, you guys know how it goes. Played the Division, you know what's up. But there is one thing new that I definitely wanted to discuss. So once you are officially considered rogue, once you're disavowed or what have you, you can follow the ShadeTech terminals. These are new terminals that are on the map. They're scattered throughout the dark zones. You follow these ShadeTech terminals, you find one, that'll lead you to other ones. Eventually, it will lead you to an underground bunker where you can then talk to somebody, and you access like a rogue store, more or less, like where you can buy different stuff, and it's a different way that they kind of allowed people to get their hands on different types of loot that you can buy. You guys if you guys played the Division, you recall that at each checkpoint there was somebody that you could talk to where you could buy stuff. Well, essentially it's the same way, but you can do this while rogue now, and I thought that was an interesting thing to include into the map. But anyways, now that I've discussed that, I kind of wanted to go back and make sure that you guys understood how normalized dark zones really work. So essentially, it's all fair. What they did was they made it so that even though like people that are brand new and people that have a lot of experience, people that are high level. Now the people that are high level are still going to have an advantage without being too much of a disadvantage to the people that are brand new. So the difference is your builds are still going to matter. The things that your build are meant to do are still going to be your advantage. They're not taking anything away from your build as far as your percentages go, as far as your perks go, stuff like that. They're not taking anything from anybody's build. What they're doing is they're making it so this is considered normalized, which means everybody's going to essentially be doing the same amount of damage. Everybody's gonna have the same amount of health, but to a certain extent. So like if you're a high level, you're still going to have things that give you an advantage over newcomers, so that your time is not wasted. That way you still feel like you didn't grind for no reason, you know what I'm saying? That way you still feel like you actually put the time in and you got the character that you deserve. They're trying to find a balance between rewarding the heavily experienced players and people that have put time in without making it an unfair dark zone for the newcomers. That way, whatever. But so y'all get the idea of a normalized zone. If you guys don't rock with the idea of the normalized dark zone, just go to the occupied dark zone and run amok, man. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm gonna be at. Meet me in there. You feel me? But what else do we got to talk about? So let's see. There's no gear sets in the Division 2 yet that I have seen. Maybe later on down the road they will introduce gear sets, but do not worry, because there are branding sets which are essentially the same thing, and it works the same way that it did with Sentry and Striker from the Division. You know what I'm saying? The main sets. Once you, I think it's up to a 3-piece for branding sets, and there may be higher sets that come out that you need more branding set pieces for. But right now I think the highest is 3, and once you get 3 of the same brand of gear, which you know what I mean, your hands, your gloves, your knee pads, and your armor and all that good stuff, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. But essentially they complement one another, so they go up to 3 pieces per brand set, and it increases the percentage, whether it be your health or your shot percentage, or your, you know what I mean, your damage, your accuracy, things of that nature are all included in your brand sets to reward you for wearing a 3-piece or a 2-piece. Anyways, the difference is that being that it only goes up to a 3-piece right now, there's going to be a lot of people running 2 3s or 3 2s, you know what I'm saying? There's even 1 pieces that could be possibly worth running. Like, you know, if you really wanted to, you could run 6 different pieces of a brand and just be rewarded for 1 piece for each brand set instead of running a 2-piece or a 3-piece. I don't know exactly. Of course, as I would imagine, as you add 1 more to it, you know what I'm saying, instead of it being just 1, you add 2 pieces of 1 brand together, I imagine the reward would be a little bit higher, so I'm sure that's going to play a bigger role instead of people wearing just 1 of each. However, it does leave a lot of options open for who wants to run what, and that's one of the things that I love about the Division, man. You can just create any kind of build that you want, and whatever you want to run is not necessarily wrong. And there are some crazy overpowered builds that you can make, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you are new. Become part of the notification gang. Leave me a comment if you appreciate all the information that I just dropped for you guys. That is it for me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm out. Peace.